And we are live. Hello, everybody. You are here with me, Bella Krystal, and with Simone Gers. And today we're going to speak about soul communication. We're going to have Simone speak to us about what is it. We're going to speak about who can do it. And we're also going to kind of a little bit like a surprise. We're going to tune into the soul consciousness of this community. So I am super excited to have you here, Simone. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to go right in. We have about half an hour. I want to go right into asking you what is soul communication and how does it work for you when you do soul communication?
Everything has vibration. We're all vibration. So every single thing has a vibration, has a soul vibration. So really, when we're doing soul communication, we're communicating with the vibration of whatever it is we're communicating with. And I believe that anybody can do, conduct soul communication. It's just a matter of practice and, um, being able to tune into the vibration of whatever it is you want to communicate with. Um,
So how did this? I know that you have a long background, and I feel like when you are speaking to me about the Akashic Records and how that was, how you communicated. So what you do is soul communication for the purpose of healing. It's that when you tune into a person's soul, that what I understand that is the goal, that there is something that wants to heal, that wants to transmute. And I know that you have a background with Akashic reading. So could you tell us how like how this way of communicating, how you feel like it got developed for you?
so I'm quadriclarian. So I have claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. And I had been doing telepathy most of my life and didn't know really what I was doing. I just knew things, didn't know how I knew them. I'd see things, which I knew was clairvoyance. And then I started hearing things, and I didn't learn that was clairaudience. And then, I've always felt things in my body and learned that was clairsentience. And so when I started reading the Akashic Record, I just started seeing Akashic Records. It would be long, long scrolls of text and some language that I didn't know. And I was telling my friend, no, I'm getting these downloads. And I'm just watched just scrolls of text and kind of look like Egyptian cuneiform. And she said, oh, you're reading the Akashic Record. And I was like, I've been being told that I'm supposed to read the Akashic Records. I didn't realize that was what I was doing. And so she said, you just there's a book, you can read this book, and it's how to read, how to connect with the Akashic Records. So I read the book, and right away I started communicating, doing Akashic Records readings. And I didn't realize that when I was doing the Akashic Record, people have different Akashic Records, readers have different gifts. For me, when I go into the Akashic Record, I literally see a person's masters, teachers, and loved ones. They're light beings that show up, and they come forward and they speak. Sometimes I go into this other area where I see scrolls, and there's scrolls of information, and I just somehow know what that is saying. So from there, I started doing more conscious connection with different people, um, different things, and it just developed over time. And I believe that we all come into physical form with some portion of our non-physical, our soul energy. And the beauty of soul communication for me is it's a way for people in embodiment to communicate at the level of soul consciousness. So to bring into physical form more of their soul vibration. And each time I do this, I know people are connecting with more of the truth of who they are in their true vibration, if you will. They get clarity, they have healing. I mean, it's just really miraculous what can happen through soul communication. And I think that if many people have the experience of you're walking through a forest and you put your heart to a tree and you feel the tree sending you love or information. I believe that many people are getting messages from nature, from, and I believe we just get them in the ways that what our each of our individual bandwidths are. So I just happen to be quadriclarian, and that's from practice. That's just from a long journey of being aware and being open, and then experimenting and really just being open to my own gifts. I also think in terms of human design, you and I work quite a bit in terms of human design and gene keys, but I have an open G, and you were the one who showed me that I don't have karma there, and that's probably why souls speak to me so effortlessly, because I don't have any judgment about what a soul will say. So there's no pressure there. I do believe that bring in what we're capable of bringing in. We all have our individual bandwidth, and that's part of the engagement, the co-creation.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, you have a certain. Let me see if I can mute this. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, great.
No, it's okay. I could hear some echo. So for me, you have a certain flavor, the way that it comes in through you. And we have been doing soul communication with the gene keys for the last 9 months or something. So I recognize the way, kind of, it's almost like it's a voice or a filter, whatever you speak to. And I've said to you before, with you, I feel like all the analogy with the water, there are oceans and there's water, and I love it. And I would feel that, I would think that if I learn to do what you are doing, it will come in through kind of like my voice or my filter somehow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that, because we all have our experiences, the language that we own, or the languages that we're capable of speaking. We all have our lived experience and our practices, and those are, the windows through which we are able to receive. I love it when I'm speaking to a soul and they'll say words that I don't even know. Like, okay, the word is this. I've never heard this. Every now and then it'll be a word in another language, like an earthly language, not a light language. And I'm like, okay, this is how it's spelled, or this is how it sounds like. It's not English, but, because, it's such a perfect way of knowing this isn't coming, this isn't my message to you. This is your soul's message to you,
Mm-hmm. So let's say I would like to start pursuing this. I would like to be able to connect to the soul, my own soul, and the soul in anything. What would be the first steps how would you guide that? And what would be the best environment to do that? I know that you have preferences for that too. So please speak about that.
Well, I've done trainings. I've taught people how to do soul communication. What I would say is, if you practice meditation, because you're really stilling the mind to be open to the waveform that comes through, and so that a meditative practice can really support soul communication. And then if you're practicing on yourself, look at or you're practicing with someone, you want to speak to their soul. Sometimes having a picture at the beginning is very, very helpful, where you can just softly gaze at their eyes. And then many people find it easy to start with writing out what they get. So in classes, I often have people have paper, and we bring pictures of people we want to practice with, that the other participants wouldn't know. And to have a specific intention, for me, it's always, I would like to communicate with the soul of insert for the purpose of healing, for the highest good, to have a very specific intention, because what your intention is will shift what the soul will share with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important. And then to write down everything you get, even if it's just a flash of a picture or a feeling in your body or something you don't know where it came from, just whatever comes through, write it down, because it all has meaning. I remember, I always know that it's going to be a powerful session when I get these crazy images. So I remember this one session I was doing, and the first thing I saw was like a bookshelf, and it had 3 particular books on it, and next to them they had a red apple, and I could see the titles on the books, and then behind the books a red balloon kind of emerged. And so that was it. I described all of that. Really random, right? To me it has no meaning. But I described all of that in very intricate detail, and then the session went on, and at the end of the session the person I was working with told me the meaning of each of those things. And she said she knew from that first description that I was speaking to her soul, because there was no way I could have known those 3 books, that red apple, that red balloon, the bookshelf. It all had meaning to the person. So, the other thing is being open and not shutting yourself down when what comes through comes through. So I remember early on when I was doing Akashic Records readings, I was doing after you did the training, they asked you to give as gratitude for your gift, to give 30 days of sessions complimentary. So I did this internship, if you will, and I sent out an email and to some friends I thought would appreciate it. And then I'm 3 generations out from my friends doing these sessions. And I remember that I had this one client I'll never forget. She asked a question in her Akashic Records reading. She asked what was for the wisdom she needed to heal her relationship with her father. And what came through was just a block of information. I didn't want to share it with her because it was hard for me to say what came through. And it was basically what her master's teachers and loved ones were saying was, you have done to your father everything he has done to you. And I didn't know what that was, but I felt that, that was kind of a heavy energy. And so I say to her, I don't really want to say what's coming through, but I'm going to give you this message in all of the integrity. And so I gave her the message, and she started crying. And then I see this picture, and I start describing this picture, and it was like an oil painting. And so I describe it, and she's crying even more. And she had, at the end of the session, she had said to me that, her father had abused her, and that the painting that I described was the painting on her easel. So that was her soul's way of saying, this is real. And I feel like every soul conversation I do, there's some message like that people get that is an affirmation. I don't need that because I've been doing this for so long. I know that in the seeming randomness of what comes through, there is meaning. And it's also why I call myself shaman, because in the shamanic way, it's about story. And so often the souls that I speak to speak in metaphor or in story. And so, these images that come through, or the story that, the videos that I watch, however it's coming through, there's a shamanic aspect to this kind of storytelling way of communicating with a person. So I would say to people, when you start doing this process, don't edit. Just everything that comes through has some kind of meaning. You may not know what the pieces to that meaning are, or why it came through. And if something is hard that's coming through, if it's hard for you to just own it and say, this is hard for me, and simultaneously, this is the purity of what I'm getting, and to not have judgment about what comes through, to be completely neutral and in the messages that come through.
And you were mentioning the 30-day thing. Is there something that has to do with what people should think about in the beginning? Maybe do it more for fun, or like what were you going to say about having done it 30 days for free for people?
You know, that was one of the best experiences of my life. I just, you know, I at the time I was training to become an Akashic Records reader. I was just following my soul's path. I had a career, I had income. I wasn't my primary motivation was to align with my gifts, and this was coming through, and I wanted to be at the highest vibration of that. And then so I read the Akashic Records book. And I think it's by Linda Howe. It has a sun on it. We can maybe post it.
Yeah, let's put it in the links after. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And she, you know, I'm sure it's the book she uses to teach her in-person students. And it said, this is how you do it. You know, you've been given this gift. This is a blessing, and, you know, share that. And so for me, it was just the most awesome experience. By this point, I had done Reiki Master training 3 times. I knew I had gotten the message to experience that with different people, and I had done the whole the oneness blessing training. I had done so many trainings, and so it was just another training of me aligning with my soul's gifts. And I believe that's what happens, is that we're all people who are in this conscious community. We're aligning with our gifts, and sometimes it comes in and it comes through information that crosses our desks, our lives, and we read about that, and then it opens something up. And so this was just another blooming of a part of my gift. And to see, to share my gift for 30 days, I think I actually went way longer than 30 days because I was just having so much fun. Each gift that I gave, my gift opened up and opened up and opened up. And then eventually, people have asked me, how did you build your client base? And it all stems back from that Akashic Records gifting. Because eventually, after about 60 or 90 days, I was like, well, yeah, I'm done. But if you'd like to book a session, I had so many under my belt by that point. I was just so confident in what was coming through. And, then I started working with clients, and it all just unfolded until, I'm doing soul communication. So I like to think of, when I do Akashic Records readings, we're really talking to the masters, teachers, and loved ones of any person. But soul communication is talking directly to your soul. It's getting the information directly from your soul. So they're similar, but just, not quite the same.
Yeah, that is my experience with you when I've done it for me, that it's like my soul always comes out as a different personality in a way. And it's always so interesting to see. It's almost like the soul has facets, and it's one facet that speaks every time. So
right. And you get different, through work over time. When I first started working, I wouldn't work with a client more than 3 times because I didn't want codependence. I believe in self-empowerment. I wanted to empower people. And I had this one client who said, but I'm growing each time I work with you. This isn't codependency. You're helping me bloom. And so I was like, okay, I'll try with you. And then, I think I've been working with her now for 12 years, and we don't work a lot, but just, through the course of a year, if she's ready, she'll call me and she'll say, I'm ready for my next step. And there we go. And so, that was a big lesson for me.
So last question before we go into the gift part, and we're going to tune into the soul of the community. I'm wondering, you have told me that you like to teach this work or role model this work in groups. What is the reason for why you like to do it in groups?
What happens when you're in a group, when I'm teaching a group of people, so let's say someone brings, there are exercises we do to start for people to realize, oh, wow, I am getting the same information that someone else is getting. And so it's just like data, when we see trends in data, we go, oh, okay, there's a truth here. So when we're in a group and we're focused on communicating together, individually, but in a group, with the soul of something, and people are writing down what they're getting, and then we read and we share, and through cross-checking you see that, oh, I got, 6 of us got the same thing, and others got a similar thing. It's just in different words, but it really means the same thing. So when you start to see that data, that everybody is getting an aspect of some vibratory field that's the same, that starts to build confidence. And then when we bring in, I'll have participants bring in pictures of people in their lives who they know really well, but nobody else knows. And we'll look at that picture, and we'll really focus on communicating with that soul, and they get, everybody writes down what they get. And then when we share, people go, oh my gosh, because there's going to be a part of that message that's the same throughout the whole group. And that's how people build confidence. They go, oh, it's not just me. I can see that this is powerful and it's working. Yeah.
I love that you say that, and you and me as well, being into gene keys and human design. So right now the sun is in hexagram 57, which is the gene key that has to do with intuition. And that's kind of what you're saying. We have an inherent intuition, and when we tap in, we are going to be filters for those truths that are out there in consciousness, wanting to be channeled and spoken through us. So that's super amazing to hear, to hear that kind of hands-on in your experience with working with groups. So we are going to give people that are on, and people are going to watch it after, a little bit of a taster, just like a 5-10 minute thing. So we are right now live in the Conscious Leadership Network. This is a new network, and it has a big vision of really bringing together role models and thought leaders and people that just want to be in alignment and be the best at what they are. So I would like us to see if we can speak to the soul consciousness of this community and what it wants to bring through for the members that are here now and for the people that are going to join.
Okay, so based on what you said, I think I'm going to change what I ask. I'm going to ask to speak to the soul of the Conscious Leadership Network for the purpose of sharing wisdom about this community, and see, and then we can have questions, because this is what we want to bring forth. All right, let's just ground for a minute. I would like to communicate with the soul of the Conscious Leadership Network for the purpose of bringing forth wisdom for this community. Will you communicate with us? It said, yes, it will. And the very first image I see is like this amazing book. Just think about like a really big dictionary, kind of thick book. And it opened up, and then the pages kind of rippled, and then it lands on one page. And there's a finger that comes through, and it points to one page. And it says, you are right here. And then it shows me that we're the Conscious Leadership Network, or like everybody in the Conscious Leadership Network is like a page of a part of this book. And that it's showing me, it takes the book and it brings it up and it closes it. And it shows that when we're together, we're the body of wisdom and knowledge. And that when it opens up again, and it points to a different page, and it's showing me that it's like when it points to the page that's open, it's the collective. It's like we may be pointing to a particular practitioner or a particular practice, but inside that container, we're all drawing on the energy of the collective, of the whole. And it's almost like a friend of mine once said to me, she goes, sometimes I've seen you buy books and just kind of sleep on them, and then you kind of magically have the wisdom of what's in that book without reading it, and which does happen for me. And it's kind of like that when you join and you are a part of this network. You start to have the resources of the whole, the wisdom of the whole starts to become a part of your consciousness. And it's taking me to this aspect of this collective, if you will, that is strength. It just feels so strong to be, in this book, wisdom book, if you will, these wisdom teachings, if you will. And the hand comes through and it tears out some different pages and it folds them up into like paper airplanes and shoots them off. And it's like, it's going out into the world and bringing the wisdom of this collective out into the world. And it's showing me that, when you're going out into the world to share this wisdom, you haven't left, just because the page is torn out and it's flown, it's still, quantumly connected. And it reminds me of, I had my gallbladder was removed, and yet I know I have a gallbladder, an energetic gallbladder. And so that's still there and I can still work with my gallbladder. So it's kind of like, even if you're, out working and you're not folded into the book, you still are bringing the wisdom of this conscious network to, it's still with you, and you're still with it, and working. And the next thing it shows me is just this joyfulness. It's like super, super happy to be in this collective consciousness of strength, of leadership, of growth, the growth potential. And then it shows me, it took some of the pages in the book, like they were in an order, and it pulled some out and it reorganized them. And so it's like, by being a part of this collective, you might come in a certain way, but it can reorganize you and connect you with different things, different wisdom, different people, different aspects. But that's an interesting thing about this kind of reorganization aspect. And it says, wherever you go, I will always be with you. And when you enter, I take you into my heart. So there's a real heart to the soul of the Conscious Leadership Network. And it really, at the soul aspect of it, it really wants to share wisdom and be connected. And that's, it's showing me those words kind of threaded through the heart of this network. Do you have any questions for it, or?
I think it was funny with the reorganization, because I feel like already it kind of shifted name and it shifted like shape, and it's like it's inherently part of how it develops, and it depends a lot, like, those airplanes that go out, the people that are in here, and I feel like that's part of the architecture of, like, going out and coming back, and that builds, so it's ever changing in a way, and it depends a lot, like the wisdom of the heart of the people that are in here, and the courage of speaking our wisdom. That's what I kind of hear. That's what I hear being confirmed.
Yes, and it says never be afraid of reorganization and change, because it's, it's constantly growing. And so there's inherent constant change because there's constant growth. And it's a part of the trajectory. It's the soul of it is not afraid of this reorganization process. It knows that that's just part of continued growth. It says that when reorganization and change is not a part of the network, that's when it dies, because there's nothing to there's nothing to organize or reorganize. Like reorganization is almost a a litmus test for growth and change, you know, because it's a continual, there's continual movement, and that's life. That's the life force. That's the growth. So it's really good. I love that you went right to that.
Well, we have been on for 30 minutes, and that's kind of what I said, so I want to keep to that. But thank you so much. And I know that you usually also thank the consciousness, so maybe let's do that.
Yes, let's totally do that. I'm just saying thank you for communicating with us. And oh, it's so beautiful. It was closing the book, and as it was doing that, all these hearts started flying out. It was sharing love with us. And it says, come back anytime. So,
well, thank you, Simone, for being here with me. Thank you, everybody who were watching. And I feel, Simone, like maybe we'll come back. So it was so much fun.
So much fun.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.